The first thing we're going to do is give a name to our map. Ringforts in Kilkenny. So in the top left corner there's the little pencil next to the name, and it opens this editing window, and you put in a name and a description if you want to. I won't put in a description at the moment. Close and save, just to be safe. And now we want to import the data that we created in Overpass Turbo. There is an upload button on the right hand side. It's an arrow up, and you click on that, and you see it says import data, and then it's talking German for some reason. Well, it's because my laptop speaks German, and I tried to set everything to English, but it's just stubborn. Typical. So you click on that, which might say file or something on your computer, and then I told you to save yours in downloads. If you did that, you'll find yours in downloads. I have moved mine into the one for this video. So I click on that, and you see I renamed it from export to Ringforts, and I click open. Also, if you clicked on copy the data instead of export, you can paste it in here. And you see here there's a choice of format of data, similarly to when we exported in Overpass Turbo. So geojson, CSV, JPEGs, KML, OSM. There's even a uMap file, which I will explain later, but we leave it at geojson, which it has automatically jumped to because of the file ending JSON up here. And then import into a new layer. We haven't done any other layers before, so that's grand. And we haven't uploaded anything, so we don't have to tick replace layer content. If you have created a map of something, of data that you think might have changed, and you've created your map, you've set all your standard colors and zoom level and all that, and you decide to export the data in Overpass Turbo again just to get a more recent version of it, and you upload that, you can replace your content here. If you have different layers, be careful to choose the correct layer. So I'm just going to click import. And you see it shows all the Ringforts in blue because that is the standard color. And I'm just going to save this now. And zoom in on a region that has some. So you see they are displayed the way they are drawn as a way in OpenStreetMap. You could go in, for example, if you don't like the shape, if it's not round enough or something, and just, you know, make it a little more round. I would not recommend that for this project because 310 Ringforts is a lot to be doing. I'm just showing you what's possible. And the same way as before, when you click on the shape or the feature, it opens the editor for it, like the table editor. And it has no name because it hasn't been given a name on OpenStreetMap, no description. There is an ID way, that's the one that the database, the OpenStreetMap database uses. And then we have the keys that we used earlier: fortification type Ringfort, historic, archaeological site, and site type fortification. And you see they're in alphabetic order, not in the order that we put them in. And you see there could have been a name in English and a Ringfort type and so on and so forth. This one doesn't have all of them, but you see there could be a lot to be filled in. So I'm going to save this. And we're going to go to manage layers, which is this cylindrical icon, and you see it that shows all the layers. We only have the one layer. This one you can show and hide your layer, so this hides all the Ringforts, all the data on that layer. This one zooms to the layer extent. If you click that, it goes back to a zoom level that shows the whole extent of the layer. The little pencil, you can change the properties of the whole layer. Now I have to go back to open the layer editor. This one shows the properties in a table, and this one deletes the whole layer. As I said before, be very careful, there is no undo button. So I'm clicking on the properties layer table. Takes a while to open because 310 is a lot. And you see it has all the properties that are put in the database on OpenStreetMap in a table. You have the ID that's automatically given to every feature added to OpenStreetMap. NAS reference is the National Archaeology Survey reference, so somebody has taken the trouble to look some of them up and add that number. You find them on the Historic Environment website. I'll put a link up. But do not copy any of their data into OpenStreetMap. Their data is copyrighted. It's not open data. Apart from the number, that is, you can copy that, but don't go onto their website, look up all the Ringforts and just add them to OpenStreetMap. That's a no-no. So there's only the one that I can find now. And the next column is area. That is, you know, when you draw an area in OpenStreetMap in the ID editor and you leave the area equals yes. So for example, that's a column we wouldn't need at all, so I could just delete that. Fix Me is something that you can add to OpenStreetMap if, I don't know what the, if there's something that you can't answer in when you're editing, like for example, there's something that you can't say, is that just a tree or is there maybe a bit of a ruin underneath? You can put in Fix Me in the editor and then describe what needs to be fixed. Let's see what it says. Location uncertain southeast. Somebody put that in there. We can delete that as well. All of this does not affect the OpenStreetMap database. It takes a while to delete again because there's so much data in this table. Then fortification type should be Ringfort for all of them. That's something we could delete as well. And the same with historic archaeological site. All these are empty because somebody just put it in maybe for one or two of them, but it creates the hit table for the whole lot of them. Name. So somebody put a name in for some of them. Quite a few actually. And yeah. For some they put in name :English, so the English name. Someone put in an Irish name for some of them. There. Okay, it's a lot of W's. So there's only one or two. And then an alternative name that should be under alt name, not name _1. Note. Someone left a note. Mentioned in O'Kelly. Oh, that was me. Probably mentioned in O'Kelly's place names of County Kilkenny. Reference. Sometimes I put that in when I went through O'Kelly's place names of County Kilkenny. And I found that Ringfort, I put his book in as a reference. Well, that again, that should be under the other column. And again, refnas, we had that before. Should be some consensus about that, ideally. Some of them, site type fortification, that should be the same for all of them. And source, some are found in O'Kelly's place names. Archaeology IE shouldn't be there. The British War Office map shows a lot of them. Canon Carrigan's book has described them. Of course, O'Kelly and Carrigan aren't maps, they are just books that describe them. And then source 2 and Wikidata, so some of them apparently do have Wikipedia articles. That would be the really big ones, with more than one ditch. probably just one. So there's one Kilmoke. Doesn't ring a bell now, but it must be a big one, or you know, one that somebody went through the trouble to write a Wikipedia article about it. And it gets this Wikidata number. And then there's also Wikipedia, so you can look it up on Wikipedia and add the name of the article to your data set of that Ringfort, and then the Wikidata number is automatically added if it has one. Okay, so that was the table. I'll save that. Let's say we don't like the blue color on them and we want to change the color. We go to the settings, which is this little gear symbol, and go to default shape properties and go to color, and because they're usually in a field, let's say we turn them green, dark green, and one click and they all turn dark green. So you don't have to go into every single one of them and change the color. You could change the color of single ones if you want to make a point of which, like the ones that are completely plow leveled, you could make them green, and you could make the ones that have one ditch a different shade of green, and the next one that has two ditches a different shade of green, and so on and so forth. But again, you know, it's a lot of work with 310 Ringforts. And you can also rename the layer. For example, again, you click on that layer symbol, which is that cylindrical, click on the pencil, and it has taken the name of the file, Ringforts, save. This is just some basic stuff. You can play around with everything more. Let's say we want to have people open the map on this zoom level and centered like this. Then we click on this symbol here with the two little arrows and the point in the middle, and save the center and zoom. Click. And then of course you have to save your changes at the top. So let's say you want to add information to some of the Ringforts that you couldn't add to OpenStreetMap, maybe because of GDPR or some reason there, or there's no on OpenStreetMap, I don't know. For Ringforts maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense, but for other buildings it might, and we'll come to that. So I'm zooming in on one, so near Tullaroan, and see how beautifully all the field names are mapped. That's for another day. To go into the edit mode, click on the little pencil in the top right corner. And for this one, I'm clicking on the biggest one. Click in the middle of the, like at somewhere on the area of the Ringfort, and click on the little pencil. And that opens the editing window for this Ringfort, Mount Gale Ringfort. And you can just add a description. This is a beautiful Ringfort east of Tullaroan. I'm just making stuff up, of course. And then you can save that. You could, if there was a little local legend about it, for example, you could add this. And then you click Disable Editing. And when you click on the Ringfort now, you see that it displays the description there. And if you wanted to display more than that, like we have a lot of, as you saw in the table, there's a lot of information there. You go to the layer options, click on the pencil there. You see down here, when you click on interaction options, you can actually choose the pop-up shape. So you have pop-up, pop-up large side panel, we'll leave it at that. Pop-up content style. Again, you have different things you can display. And here, pop-up content template. And see, often there's a little question mark beside, and that'll, when you click on that, it gives you the options you have. So for example here, let's say we also want to display, again, this doesn't make a lot of sense for Ringforts, but for some other feature it might. Let's say we want to display the fortification type, which will be Ringfort for all of them, but for some other example it might make more sense. Fortification underscore type, and of course you have to use the same syntax that we use in OpenStreetMap, because this is the syntax that is used in the table. So I'll close this again. If you remember, when you click on it, it shows the name in bold letters and the description in just normal letters. And you do the bold bit by using the hashtag symbol, but you see you could also use 2 to make it a second heading. And you can use asterisks for italic. So we'll use that for the fortification type. Oh. And you see it has to be before and after the text. The same with the, oh actually that the one hashtag was for main heading, not bold. So if we just wanted bold, we would have to use 2 asterisks in front and 2 after, but now it's a second heading. And the description, we leave it as it is. You could also add a picture. So you have your image uploaded to your website, and you just use the double wavy brackets and then the URL of the image, which usually ends in PNG or JPEG or something, and then the double wavy brackets again, and that would add a picture. I will see if I can just find a random picture of a Ringfort and add that. Sorry about the background noise. I live on a farm. There are tractors going around. So I have copied the address for the Ringfort image into my clipboard. So I'm just cheating again. Image double wavy. Then I paste it. Double wavy brackets. And I hope that works, because I copied it off the Wikipedia. Of course, anytime you copy images from anyone and you publicize it, give your sources, attribute it. I'm not going to publicize this properly. It's just for a quick show and tell. You save it, and then of course you have to click disable editing and click on the Ringfort, and you see the name is now second heading, so it's still in bold letters, but it's a bit smaller than before. And then there's some room below, because that's usually how headings are displayed. There's a bit of space below. And then we have the description that we added. This is a beautiful Ringfort east of Tollerone. And Ringfort, you remember that we added fortification type. You use the header of the table that we looked at earlier, and it will automatically display the value for this element. And you don't have to use these placeholders just one by one. You can use them in a sentence. You could, for example, say this wavy bracket fortification type wavy bracket closing is a typical example of early medieval agricultural settlement in Ireland. And then instead of the wavy brackets fortification type, it will display this Ringfort is blah 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 blah. And then it has displayed the image like we wanted. And isn't that nice? So if you wanted to do a walking tour or something, a virtual walking tour, let's say for your twin town in America, and you want to give them the images as well, because they can't come over because it's lockdown or whatever. The Civil War has started in America. I'm recording this on the 7th of January. Then you can give them the opportunity to do a virtual tour. And now you want to share this, for example, want to share it on social media, or again on the website, you click the share symbol on the left hand side. and you get an iframe option. It's like I explained in the video about the user interface of OpenStreetMap. It's very similar. You get an iframe and you can change the height, and the width is not predefined, but you can add that if you don't like it on your website. So you change the height to 400, for example. And if you use this, you will see a map displayed in a frame, and underneath it will say "see full screen," and you could change that text to something. Like if you want to have it in Irish, for example, you can change it to Irish. That's what you use there. And then you can also download the data. Let's say you're the only person now that has access to this map because you logged in with your account. But let's say you're doing this for someone and they want to create their own map, but they don't know how, but you have made the data for them and you want to download it for them to send it to them. Go to download data. Full map data will download as a uMap file. That means it will download the color scheme and the zoom level and everything. You could also export it as a geojson file, which is basically the file you had before. But remember how we changed the outline of one of them a little bit. So if you have changed some things like the shape, then you should download the recent data, the one that you have just created. If you want to download the whole map with all the color schemes and labels and so on, you choose full map data. And then click download data. And it opens this pop-up, and you see that the name is the name we've given to the map. And then save the file, and it ends up in your download folder where you can keep it, or you put it in a folder that you have created for your project. And then you can send it on to someone. If you're the only person working on this map, you don't really have to bother about that. You just save it and it'll be in your list of maps when you go to the uMap website. These are only the really basic features, I think. We will talk about more features when I do other tutorials that focus on different things, like adding layers and things like that. You can also share a short link. For some reason it didn't show this before when I clicked on the share button, but you might have to leave the editing mode, or maybe it was just a bit stubborn. So it'll show the short URL here, and you see the U probably stands for uMap, and then OSM stands for OpenStreetMap, and then FR org, and then it gives a little identification number there. And it's the same number if you compare this to up there. And that's all about that. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you will try this out for your own project. You don't have to use Ringforts, but since we've already downloaded that data, if you did, you can use that, but you can also use different data, whatever you are looking for. Thank you for watching. Please leave comments below or on the Facebook page, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!